Can I ask you to please rise for O Canada? Please be seated. Can I first ask if you have a cell phone, could you please turn it off for the service? Good morning. My name is Don O'Leary, and welcome to the University of Guelph's Service of Remembrance. So good to see you here today. We have several special guests with us, but I'd like to welcome one particular special guest. Lorna Reynolds is an Air Force veteran of the Second World War. Lorna and her late husband, Bruce, have had a long, great relationship with the university. The university's Reynolds building is named in honor of a member of Lorna's family. Lorna's here this morning with us. University of Guelph students, faculty, staff, and alumni are known for their compassion. Our community views service to society as a responsibility, and we have always contributed to civic development and engagement throughout times of war and times of peace. Guelph has always stood up and taken the leadership role. We are a university that changes lives and improves life at home and around the globe. Canada and our world face many problems, and the University of Guelph is committed to finding real solutions to real-life issues. We have the knowledge, the experience, and the expertise to protect and cultivate the essentials of our quality of life: food, environment, health, and community. Above and beyond what we do formally, our community is recognized as a community of volunteers, from those who lend their expertise in any number of skilled areas to those who give what they can. Today, I want to remind you of a lasting monument to Guelph's commitment to standing up for what is right in the world and in honoring the memories of those who have gone before us and given so much. This building, War Memorial Hall, was built in 1924 in response to a strong community movement to remember those who had served with the armed forces. Students spearheaded the memorial campaign, and in fact forced administration to settle on this location by taking matters into their own hands. In the middle of the night, they cut down a stand of Norway spruce and began digging the foundation. This building is a cornerstone to the strength and determination of this community. In the chapel at the rear of the hall, where the wreaths will be laid, are two bronze tablets that face each other. One bears the names of 109 men from campus, the students, faculty, and staff who lost their lives in the First World War. The other remembers those who died in the Second World War. Also in the chapel are two books of remembrance inscribed with the names of all those who served in the armed forces during these wars. This building stands as a lasting memorial to the faculty, staff, and students of Guelph who made the most precious sacrifice, but also stands as a lasting memorial to so much more. To the people in so many wars, past and present, who were prepared to make the ultimate sacrifice, or who were felled as innocent bystanders in the path to freedom, tolerance, and democracy. We all have a responsibility not only to remember those who died and suffered, but to continue to campaign for the rights and privileges of freedom for all people. We must burn brightly with the commitment not just to remember at the 11th hour on the 11th day of the 11th month every year, but work always towards the ideals of freedom and freedom to express ideals for peoples across the world. We must live out our lives in pursuit of achieving these moral values which our forebears sacrificed for. In doing so, we honor their memory, their courage, their noble fate. Let us find a way to fulfill the dreams of those who died for us. And in the going down of the sun, we will remember them. Let us now pause to remember these brave men and women. Please join me now in the responsive reading. You will see the responses on the overhead screen. They went with song to the battle. They were young, straight of limb, true of eye, steady and aglow. They were staunch to the end against odds uncounted. They fell with their faces to the foe. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you from failing hands we throw the torch. Be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders fields. We speak here of the challenges of the dichotomies of war and peace, violence and nonviolence, racism and human dignity, oppression and repression, and liberty and human rights, poverty and freedom from want. This must be a world of democracy and respect for human rights, a world freed from the horrors of poverty, hunger, deprivation, and ignorance, relieved of the threat of wars and aggression, and unburdened of the great tragedy of millions forced to seek to become refugees. Let the efforts of us all prove that Martin Luther King was not a mere dreamer when he spoke of the beauty of genuine brotherhood and peace being more precious than diamonds or silver or gold. At this time, during the next song, the procession will collect the Rose Bowl and wreaths and proceed to the chapel. The Rose Bowl is a special symbol of the University of Guelph's history. The bowl was donated to the university by Kathleen Dowler Ritter in 1915, a 1915 graduate at the MacDonald Institute, in the memory of her friend, RAF Captain John Playford Hales. Hales, an OAC faculty member until 1916, was killed in France in 1918. The bowl filled with red roses sits at the front of the hall during the service. The bowl features a pattern of leaves and shells and is inscribed, "And from the ground there blossoms red life that shall endless be." With us here today is David Hales, a nephew of John, who will carry the bowl in the procession for us. So I'd ask you to please stand during the laying of the wreaths. Please be seated. I'll now call on our readers to come forward, please.
A reading from the Quran. And who could be better of speech than he who calls others unto God and does what is just and right, and says, I am of those who have surrendered themselves to God. Good and evil are not equal. Repair the evil that is done to you and do something better. And lo, the enemy who did evil to you may turn into a close and true friend. Seek refuge with God. Behold, he alone is all-hearing and all-knowing.
This reading is from Alan Shifka, co-founder of the Abraham Fund in New York, one of the first non-profit organizations dedicated to furthering coexistence between Israel's Arab and Jewish citizens. I pray for a world where all people learn to think of I and thou, practice existence and coexistence, and move through life individually and with others, woven together, separate yet interconnected, like the light and dark of the tale. I pray for a world where all children are taught about coexistence, cooperation, and community building at an early age, that they learn tolerance and respect and can overcome the prejudice they learn from adults. I pray for a world where difference, tradition, culture, and spiritual roots are honored, where the goal of peaceful coexistence is as important as clean air, clean water, and protecting all the species on Earth. I pray for a world where political leaders encourage respect for diversity instead of exploiting differences for political gain. I pray for a world where leaders of all faiths denounce absolutism and fundamentalism, where respect and tolerance for all expressions of connectivity with God or the universal spirit are understood as expressions of our shared desire to join a higher power. I pray for a planet where the oppression of minorities is universally condemned, where we can all coexist rather than become extinct, a world where the ideals of coexistence and community building become educational priorities and shared societal goals.
Den Mingdao is a Chinese-American author, artist, philosopher, teacher, and martial artist. Only when peace lives within each of us will it live outside of us. We must be the wombs for a new harmony. When it is small, peace is fragile. Like a baby, it needs nurturing attention. We must protect peace from violence and perversion if it is to grow. We must be strong to do this. But force, even in the name of honor, is always tragic. Instead, we must use strength of wisdom and conscience. Only that power can nurture peace in this difficult time.
This reading is from Marcel Falk, an American-born poet, painter, and Judaic scholar. A prayer for peace, eternal wellspring of peace. May we be drenched with the longing for peace, and that we may give ourselves over to peace, until the earth overflows with peace, as living waters overflow the seas.
This final reading is a quote from Federico Mayer, a Spanish artist, scholar, politician, and a poet. We'll plant olive trees where before there were thorns. All of us the same, each one of us different. We'll walk hand in hand with a new song of love on our lips. We'll plant olive trees where before there were thorns. Sharing is the one urgent need in this dawning of a new century. We'll plant olive trees where before there were thorns.
Paz.
Pe.
Peace.
Mir.
Shalom.
Salam. We will plant olive trees where before there were thorns. I now want to introduce Daniel O'Keefe, a fourth-year history major with a focus on military and Canadian history, to read his composition, A New Look on Old Tradition.
This Remembrance Day marks the 94th anniversary of the day when the guns stopped firing, weapons were lowered, and men emerged from the trenches and walked into peace. The Great War had raged on for the better part of 4 years, and much of Europe was scarcely recognizable, scarred with craters and trenches for hundreds of kilometers. Since the armistice that concluded the war to end all wars came into effect at the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, Canadians have taken this day to reflect upon the cost of the freedom we enjoy every day. Canada's history in war is something that every Canadian should be immensely proud of. Time and time again, our nation answered the call to arms and performed admirably, in the face of formidable foes and fierce firepower. Sadly, we will observe this Remembrance Day without a veteran of the Great War. Our last Great War veteran passed away in 2010. We have lost a priceless treasure, the last first-hand account of the war. Of course, the war can always be accessed in the multitude of books, papers, films, and photographs on the topic, but history is different when it loses the human element. With this in mind, we must be grateful for the veterans we are so fortunate to have with us. We must continue to cherish these priceless resources, and we must never take their presence or efforts for granted. This new aspect calls for a new approach to Remembrance Day. It is a beautiful gesture to wear a poppy or lay a wreath at the foot of a monument. However, this is not the reason for which more than 120,000 Canadian soldiers laid down their lives. When our men and women went to war, they weren't doing it for poppies. They didn't enlist for monuments. They didn't die for minutes of silence. Our troops had something greater in mind. They gave up their freedom so that we could be free. They gave up their lives so that we could live. They sacrificed their potential so that we could realize our own potential. In a perpetual oxymoron, soldiers go to war to achieve peace. For it is in peace the world focuses on improving life rather than destroying it. Remembrance Day is the day we set aside to thank past and present members of the armed forces for what they have done and what they continue to do. What is the best way to show our respect, gratitude, and admiration? To use the gifts that we have been given to the best of our abilities. We have been given freedom, life, and potential. As it was our soldiers' duty to protect Canada, it is our duty to be the best that we can be. Remembering the past with poppies and monuments commemorates the legacy of our soldiers. Using their gifts to us continues their legacy and creates our own. Where we have come from is important, but equally important is where we are going. What will we do with the future given to us by our historical heroes? Remembrance Day is as much about the future as it is about the past. Therefore, I challenge you to look back today, but also to look forward. Remember the past, but consider the future. Realize what was lost, but also realize what was gained. The investment of men, money, and materials is paying dividends of opportunity and potential. Take what you have been given and use it to the best of your ability. To truly thank our soldiers, become the best you can. There's no better way to thank them.
Thank you, Daniel. Please rise for the last post and reveille by our bugler, Matthew Mack.
I invite you to be seated. And I invite you to join me in this prayer of remembrance. On this day of remembrance, we look back. We look back and remember those who have given their lives, who fought from the trenches, who tried to carry comrades out of harm's way. We look back and we grieve with the family and friends that have lost loved ones. We look back and we appreciate our present freedom, the space that has been created for diversity, the opportunity to love across borders of all kinds. We look back in order to step forward. May the conflicts of the past and the wars of today shape our future. May they drive us to pursue peace, push us toward acceptance, and grow within us a spirit of celebration, a celebration of our togetherness and of our common humanity. May we look back not to get stuck in the past, but to move into tomorrow with hope. Use us to bring that hope and to be that peace. In the gift of love we pray. Amen.
There is one final song from the choir. There's no formal procession out, and we invite you to stay and take time for private reflection if you would like. And as well, I'd encourage you to participate and attend other services on Sunday. Thank you for coming this morning.